How do everyone, and welcome back to Royville Reads. My name is Stefan. I've been doing those haul videos, and I have a little different video for you. I just got back a little while ago from the local used bookstore, and I picked up some stuff. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, let me know. If you like this video after I'm done with it, let me know. But I picked up some books, and I'm just going to talk about them before I read them. Why I picked them up, that kind of thing. So I picked up 4 books, so let's get into them. Now, as you are aware, if you've seen a few of my other videos, I am a huge Western fan. I read a lot of books about nonfiction Western stuff, historical Westerns, and I just started to get into reading Western novels. I love Western movies, Western TV shows. Somebody got a 10-gallon hat and a iron on their side, and I'm probably already watching it. So let's get into 4 books about the historical West. The first one I got is actually kind of more of a gift for my wife here. It is Outlaw Women and America's Most Notorious Daughters, Wives, and Mothers by Robert Barr Smith. It's not that big of a book, and I say I got it for my wife because she's like, definitely get that one. I was sending her pictures of the books I saw. Definitely get that one. She's interested in it. She wants to read it, maybe get tips. But I did think it was kind of interesting. I was flipping through it, and if you saw my last video about reading Arsenic and Old Lace, A Pinch of Arsenic. This story is about Nanny Doss and Judy Bueniano. But interesting, 2 ladies who possibly kill using arsenic. Interesting. But yeah, so that one, I'll probably also end up reading it. There were a lot of good, interesting women in here. And a lot of women that you don't really hear about from male counterparts, like the women, Butch Cassidy and Sundance, the mother of as the moniker goes, but Belle Starr, the second Belle Starr. Let me see if there's any. I don't know if you're aware of these. Edna Murray, Pearl Hart. I have heard of her. I didn't see Machine Gun Kate. Let's see here. Ma Parker, Machine Gun Kate. There's just a number. Black Widow, Belle Gunness. Interesting. Yeah, I know, it's a good thing I'm married first, Anyway, but yeah, so that's a cool one. Outlaw Women by Robert Barr Smith. The next one, my wife and I were watching Young Guns 2 because she had never seen it. And I'm a big fan of the Young Guns franchise. That was kind of right in my wheelhouse when I was young. And hopefully they're supposedly making a 3rd installment of that series with Emilio Estevez and Lou Diamond Phillips. But in Young Guns 2, part of the subplot is that Pat Garrett is writing a book about his life and Billy the Kid. And so, yeah, The Authentic Life of Billy the Kid by Pat F. Garrett. And I think this is actually the book that he was talking about. This book came out first published in 1882, a year after Sheriff Garrett killed the kid. the bravest and most feared gunman of Lincoln County, New Mexico. So I know a lot about the West. I've read a lot of books about the West. I didn't know that this book actually was a real thing. I'd seen that movie a few times, we'll just say. So really interested to dive into this. I kind of want to check out to see if, because there's this introduction by J.C. Dykes. I wonder if that's the journalist character from the book or from the movie. I can't remember. But this isn't also that big of a book. It is pretty thick with the writing. But it looks to be, yeah, it's only 156 pages. I might pick this one up first and read this. Very interested to jump into that. A faithful and interesting narrative. I'll be the judge of that, Mr. Garrett. All right, so there's that one. Not sure if you're aware. I have talked about it before, I think, but Tombstone is not only my favorite Western, but one of my favorite movies of all time. And I have read a lot of stuff. I would love one day to be able to go to Tombstone and just walk those streets. I mean, I know it's kind of commercialized now, and a lot of the actual places burned down or gone, but I would love to just kind of walk those streets. Very, very interested in Tombstone and everything that happened with that, the gunfight, the vendetta ride, all of the characters in that area. And the thing is, a lot of the times, though, you only really see books about Wyatt Earp and then tangentially Doc Holliday. There's not even really, if there's a really good book about Doc Holliday that someone can recommend to me, let me know, because the only ones that I've seen are extremely fictionalized or just very lacking in information. So yeah. However, that being said, there were other Earps there, and I know for a fact that one of the other big Earps was Virgil Earp, and what happened to him in Tombstone. But I've never read anything. It's always been kind of Wyatt Earp and then the brothers, right? So this one I saw, and I keep knocking the camera. I'm really sorry. Once again, my camera's on a small table with the books I'm picking up. So this one, Virgil Earp, Western Peace Officer by Don Chaput. Sorry if I'm butchering that name. But yeah, so this person famously played by the amazing mustache that we call Sam Elliott. And I am super excited to read something about Virgil Earp. I think Virgil Earp is an unsung character in that whole Western epic that played out in Tombstone, Arizona in the 1880s, late 1870s, 1880s. So I am really interested to read this, and hopefully this is a very good representation of how Virgil Earp was, and I can really deep dive into this character. I think he is an unsung part of that Western epic. So this is the first book I've read that's predominantly Virgil Earp, and I hope it's predominantly Virgil Earp. But yeah. So there's that. Virgil Earp, Western Peace Officer by Don Chaput. Hopefully I'm not butchering that. And there you go. And the last book I got, so, whoops, something fell off the shelf. The last book I got, now, when you're reading about, okay, I really like Wyatt Earp as a character in the Western epic. But I do understand that there's a difference between the man and the propaganda. Wyatt Earp was a man. He had his faults. He had his great points. I'm really interested in learning about the real people. I think Wyatt Earp is probably to me, the number one Western archetype. But that being said, there was a lot of other people centered around Tombstone. And Wyatt Earp usually becomes not only from recent movies like Tombstone and Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner, he becomes kind of the larger than life hero. But as we all know, in reality, it's a lot more complicated than that. Sometimes the cowboys being painted as just villains for the sake of being the villain of the story, especially like in Tombstone. It's very interesting when you can find a book that does not paint it in that light. I've read a lot of books about Tombstone, and I've only read one. I actually haven't even got through with it. This one, let me see if I can grab it without knocking over. And Die in the West by Paula Mitchell Marks. The story of the OK Corral gunfight. And this book really, I'm only about that far into it. But this book is very interesting to me, as the author, because it takes the side of the Clantons and the McClowrys. It kind of almost demonizes the Earp faction of Tombstone. And it's really odd to me. It's, interesting to me because since I've been so inundated with Tombstone in the fact that the Earps were the good guys, it's interesting to me when I read this book, it almost makes me think, that she's prejudiced, that the author, Paula Marks, is prejudiced, and she has some stick to poke at the Earps, and it's hard for me to just see it for what it is. Like, it's just the other side, but it's also extremely interesting to me because you don't really see that all that much. And so I started reading this one. So I haven't gotten all the way through it. However, that being said, I found this book, The McClowrys in Tombstone, Arizona, an OK Corral Obituary by Paul Lee Johnson. And there's the two McClowry brothers, Frank and Tom. Frank's the older one here, Frank and Tom McClowry. And I'm hoping this is taking kind of an unbiased look, because honestly, that's another thing. Like I try to find books that are unbiased. If you read this book, this is not unbiased. She is very, almost as if she's an ancestor of the Clantons or the McClowrys or whatever. She is not biased in her opinion. So I'm really interested to see. This one's a little newer. This book came out, let me see if I can find it here. Well, shoot, I don't know when this book came out. It does not say in a very easy place that I can find. That's weird. There we go. Here we go. This book came out in 1989, and the book on the McClowrys more specifically came out in 2012. So this is a lot newer than the first book. So I will be very interested to see how the author paints the McClowry and Clanton faction over or adjacent to the Earp faction. That will be very interesting to me. So, that being said, those are the books I got. If you are interested in any of those, let me know, and maybe I'll dive into it a lot earlier. This video is actually a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I didn't know what I was thinking there. These are longer books though, and as you are aware, I read slower, so I might have to do like installments if I dig into one of these. Like part 1, this is where I got, and this is what interested me in this part of the book. But yeah, that being said, that was my bookstore haul, and thank you everyone for watching, and as always, keep reading. Thanks everybody.